Hello guys, how's it going for everyone? Yes, people are joining. I'll just stop presenting. All right. Hello everyone, how's it going? Hi, hello. Excited for the week 2 of Gen AI Rush. We have already finished our first week. Is there anybody who has been like consistently attending all the sessions? Anybody who has not missed it till now? Guys, put it in the comments. Okay, yes, me. That's lovely. Put it on thumbs up also. We want to see some reactions as well. Lovely. Moving on. Shout out to our partners. So this Gen AI has been presenting with Nexus and TPF together. We are presenting this course. So this is the first generative AI course, and along with our partners Airmeet, H2AI, Llama Index, Microsoft for Startups Founders Hub, Postman, Rephrase.ai, WorkHack, and WeWork Labs. Thank you to all our partners who are making this live for all of you, all free of cost. So a big shout out to them. Quick engagement question. So, where do you prefer to work from? Home or in office? Hybrid? Let's see. Please put it in the chat session if you want to see in the comments. How many for in office? Who's like, I'm done with work from home? Anybody? Or people are like, no, hybrid. Let us know. From beach. That's lovely. Work from home, work from nowhere now. Anywhere, nowhere. Work from Ladakh. Okay, lovely. Locations are also coming in. Maybe we can throw in some pictures also from where we love to work. All right. So, if you have been consistently following, you will be knowing this. The last session was by Rephrase.ai. We had Ashray Malhotra from Rephrase.ai who did a very interactive hands on workshop. We had seen your session post on LinkedIn and Twitter. That's lovely. And please keep on putting your session learnings. You all know why, and I'll also be speaking about it. The YouTube link is live right now. So if you have missed it, so you can go through YouTube right now. We are going to make it unlive very soon. So you don't want to skip it. So have a look until it goes unlive. Moving on, are you up for the Rush AI challenge? Gen AI Rush challenge. Hashtag learn with TPF. Again, if you are those who have been attending, you guys will be knowing that on Twitter or and LinkedIn, you can post your session learnings with the hashtag learn with TPF. And also make sure to tag us TPF, the product folks. And also you can tag the speaker, the startup where they're working. So please make sure to put this. And also if you want the certificate, this is a mandatory aspect. So yes. And why will you do it, right? You want the certificate and also the swag kits, TPS swag kits, also the paid access to ChatGPT, Midjourney, AI subscription tools, Swiggy after every session. Yes, after this session also there'll be some chosen winners for Swiggy treats, so you can end the day on a sweet note. And Gen AI Rush 23 Cohort Academy access. Once the cohort is over, the courses all are over, it will go live on our academy, and chosen few winners will get full access to the Gen AI Rush course. So, guys, please attend all the sessions, put your session learnings with hashtag LearnTPF, and also tag it. These were the winners from the past sessions. So, shout out to the winners from Paul's session, from Ashray's session. Guys, from the last session, those who have attended, and if you're attending right now, I'm waiting over here. You can take a screenshot, post it on socials as usual, and post it that you're a winner, and anything that you're winning also with the swag kids, please put it online. This was our last one, TPS swag kits, which are already out, guys, and more are going to be chosen. So yeah, who knows? Today's might be some 3, 4, 5. We don't know the numbers, but yeah, it's definitely more than 1 and 2 who are going to be selected for TPF swag kits. So guys, put it on socials. We want to see more and more. Just make sure hashtag learn with TPF and the product folks. Guys, let us know also what you want. Let's see. Maybe you can get that in swag kit. Not making any promises. All right. Moving on to Gen AI Rush Buildathon. Uh, if you know, we are doing this the first live Gen AI Rush, kind of like a hackathon in Bangalore. So you will have to be present there. And the deadline for registration is running out. It's tomorrow. Last date it is 16th of July. So guys, please register ASAP, and you're going to win cash prizes worth 6 lakh. And so guys, it's going to be, all the tools are going to be, you're going to get access to it from our partners. It's going to be a big event. So last date is 16 July. Once again, all the details are on the link. Once again, first prize winner will get 2 lakh, second place 1 lakh, third place 50,000, and the next 10 winners each will get worth 25,000 cash prize. Cool. If you guys have any doubts, you can put it in the comment section. We're going to come back and answer it. All right. Who's excited? How many of you guys are going to take part in it? Let us know. All right. I'm extremely glad. I'm Aisha, who's presenting from Women in Product, which is one of our TPS most beloved vertical. And today's session is presented by Women in Product, and we have multiple offline, online events. It's a paid cohort member. So any women product managers over here, product designers, data product managers, product marketeers, any woman who's working in product, girls, please join our community. You don't know what you're missing out on. We have esteemed speakers from all around the world, like Julie Zoff, who was initially one of the first product designers in Meta. And then we have one of our speaker from Audible, director of Audible. Then we have Sari Chahal, whom you all know. She's also one of our first speaker for Women Product, which we started last year. We conduct one-to-one career mentorships, mock interviews, anything you want to upskill your career, and a safe space for you all. We are all there for you. Startups, product managers, both are welcome. So I think our registration form is live also, so you can register, and the link will be there in the comment section for it as well. Moving on. Hi Surbhi, today I'm so glad she's the only woman who is presenting for the Gen AI Rush course. So, and she is one of our esteemed speakers. She's the founder of her startup Symbl.ai. She started her career as a software engineer. If I'm not wrong, please feel free to correct me. And she was working big telecos companies prior to her startup. And today her startup is now based in US also, which is working on pretty much on like AI, which is amplifying on communication and human to human conversations and creating models around it. Hello, Surbhi. I will just bring her on stage. Just a moment. Hi, Surbhi. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. We got it.
Hi, Surbhi. Please welcome her. Hi.
Hello, thanks for having me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Cool.
yes. She's one of our also one of our only women, which I mentioned, and she's also a council member of Forbes Technology. The more you research about her, the more you'll be amazed. And she's also ambassador for Women in Data. She keeps on adding feathers on her caps. I don't know. This is also one of the feathers Surbhi you'll be adding, which is one of the first Gen AI course female session panelist as a teacher.
I'm glad to
So
be
thank
here.
you, Surbhi. You're right
Yeah,
now in US, right?
yeah. I'm
Where
based
in
out of San
US are you
Francisco.
joining us from?
I live in San Francisco, but right now I'm joining you guys from Seattle.
Welcome, welcome, Surbhi. You
Thank
want to
you.
speak a little bit about yourself? Anything I missed out, which I have
No, I'm
obviously.
really excited to be here. And I think when we go over the slides, we'll talk more about the work, about myself. And of course, this is less about Symbl and more about our journey in Symbl and our learnings to bring generative AI to communication workflows. And I want to definitely talk about a lot of the learnings that we had during the journey so that all you product people that are excited to build generative AI capabilities in your product or solutions, you can just learn from our experiences and get ahead of your blind spots.
Lovely, lovely. Before we move on, people, I will ask you a few icebreaker questions, this on that, so that we as audience members can know you a little more. So, one question. It's US morning time, right? So, and you are probably having coffee. Yes, you are. So, coffee or tea? There must be
Well,
child lovers here.
I know. It depends upon the time. I'm still a very big chai lover, but I need to get my first cup of coffee before I can do any meetings. After the first cup of coffee, I'm all chai. I can have chai any time of the day.
Okay, beginning with coffee though. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, books or movies?
Movies, hands down, movies. I watch every single one on Netflix over the weekend.
What's the last weekend we watched?
I just finished Silo. I don't know if you guys
Uh-huh.
have seen it. It's on Apple TV. Yeah, pretty good. If you haven't watched it, it's nice.
And would you prefer to just sit back and chill at home mostly, or go explore hangouts, hangout kind of person, or chill at home kind of person?
No, I'm a very big people person. I get my energy from people. So I love spending time meeting new people, making new friends, all of that. So I don't like sitting at home at all. Even if I have to work sometimes over the weekends, I'll find a nice cafe, with a good view, get a glass of wine, coffee, and then work. So yeah, I love outdoors.
That's lovely. Nice. So if anyone's going to San Francisco ever, we can connect to Surbhi for some cafe
Yeah,
suggestions.
yeah, yeah. Or meet me. I'm
Sure,
all
sure.
I'm all there for coffee meetings.
Lovely. So, Surbhi, you can start over, guys. If you have any questions, please put it in the Q&A tab and put your upvotes there. We'll take the most upvoted questions at the end of the session. Cool. Surbhi, I'll hand over the stage to you.
Yeah, let me present my.
Guys, please make your session notes to put it on LinkedIn and Twitter, and as usual, the hashtag and tagging TPF. Kindly remember that.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, yeah. I can see, guys. You can please put in the chat if you can see or not.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, everyone, for spending your Saturday evenings or mornings, wherever you are in the world. I'm dialing in from Seattle today. Really excited to spend time and specifically talking about a little bit of AI, but really more focused on generative AI, which is kind of like the buzzword right now. But thinking more from user value, product value, and how do we build trust with these new experiences that companies are building. We've been doing a lot of generative AI work since 2021. So it's also an opportunity for me to kind of share our learnings with you and how were we cautiously optimistic about the new use cases, but also made sure that we create high predictability within the platform. This is going to be a more outward in session rather than an inward out. I know you guys have been spending more time on hands-on workshops and doing more LLM. How does that work in context learning, prompt engineering? There's so many amazing sessions that I'm sure you will have during this cohort. This session specifically, I wanted to have all of you guys wear a little bit of product hat, really product hat, and really think about the user and how do we deliver value to this user and what are the use cases. I'm sure you're all working in organizations or building products that would have some sort of communications, and we'll just dive a little bit into it. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what can be built beyond it. I'll take the first 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, I'm going to welcome David, who leads our developer relations. He's the one who's doing hands-on workshops on all the new use cases that can be built with generative AI and how do they stitch to the existing AI capabilities that companies have already been using for a really long period of time. And then we have a little showcase of our new product for you guys. So yeah, that's going to be the overall agenda. Let me start. I started my journey back in India been a software developer all my life and then turned into CEO with this company. So if anyone wants to hear about that journey, I have tons of podcasts that I've done on that. I really want no border boundaries. I'm a big believer of borderless collaboration. We are a fully global remote organization. When we hire people, we don't consider where they are in the world. It's really people first organization. I am personally obsessed about how people communicate and how that changes relationships and dynamics and business outcomes. The way you present the problem, your tone, how you speak, your body language, all of that constitutes so much context to your communication. And that communication characteristics can make or break businesses. So I personally obsess about how people communicate, not just in business settings, but also personally. So next time you are speaking to someone, just like take 30 seconds, pause, and just think about, is this the right way to communicate this problem, or can I do it in a better way that will lead to a positive outcome? I'm waitlisted to get my clone. I really believe that I need more clones to myself so that we can do more of this, what we are doing today. Startups are a journey. Let's have fun. I know too many people stress a lot about like, oh, stress and pressure and all of that. That's all great, but we should also have some fun. Not everyone gets an opportunity to build from 0 to 1. So if you are in a startup and you're going through that, and you're pressured and you're stressed out and you don't know how things are going to work out, just be grateful about the journey, because not everyone gets to do that. And I believe there's an AI for everything. And if there isn't one, there's going to be tomorrow. So yeah, let's watch out and see how AI and automation takes over the world. I'm very excited about it. And you can connect me with all my LinkedIn and social. I'll drop it in the chat later. So this is me, but I'd love to meet you guys. Where are you calling? I mean, I'm sure I looked at where are you calling from, but what's your profile? Are you developers or product people? Are you researchers, ML engineers? Aisha, can we have the poll out so that I can get to know a little bit more about the audience?
Sure, we'll prepare a poll. But
I think there's one in the drafts. Uh,
yes, publishing it now.
okay,
Guys, listen to
cool.
the poll.
Let's see how many of you are doing what roles. I'm sure going forward, we will have less boundaries between the roles. A single person will be able to develop, build with no code solutions, take the product live out, do marketing using ChatGPT by themselves, and be able to own like the end to end life cycle. So I'm personally very excited about this unified sort of an end to end roles, which will, I'm sure, our industry will see in the future. But let's see, what roles are you on right now?
There are people already looking for opportunities, so you might be prepared to get messages and DMs for that.
Okay. Okay. They don't see the poll yet, Aisha.
Yeah, I'm just looking into it. We are publishing in 2 minutes. It's live now.
Okay, cool. Do you guys see it now?
Yes, yes. It's coming in.
Okay. Okay, cool. Awesome.
It's a close run between product and developers.
Okay. Nice.
Guys, keep your poll coming in. 120.
Well, it's okay if you don't fit in any of those buckets too. You're still a curious learner and you should appreciate yourself for being here and going through the learning opportunity. And we have some students here too. Okay, that's awesome. You're starting your AI journey much sooner than we all did when we were in college. So that's awesome. Okay, cool. Awesome. I think I should share the poll results with the audience so that they also get to learn a little bit about each other and you all know where you're all, what you're all doing. All right. Okay, I'll go back to the screen. I think we know you're all developers, product managers, some students. Excited to meet you all. I see the poll window here. Can we go back to my screen? Yeah, cool. Awesome. Okay, so this is our agenda. We have a pretty packed agenda, and I know we are running a little late, so I'm gonna I'm gonna go a little bit faster. Won't answer questions during the session, but we'll take all the questions later. If there's anything important, let me know, and let's jump straight into it. So I talked about why communications have been a critical part and focus of our business at Symbl and the problems that we are solving. But let's take a step back and really look at the industry in itself and why it is important now. So the it's a pretty massive communication industry, and I'm sure you guys are following post COVID when the remote work kicked off. Pandemic has really brought in a new way to work. The poll question in the beginning was really, how do you like working? We never thought we would ask that question 5 years back. And the importance of digital communications has massively increased. But what that leads to is an opportunity to get data, which we did not have available before. And with data comes new opportunities and learnings and insights, and a way to improve the systems that how we run our systems. Twilio, Dolby, Agora, Vonage, they have been accelerating the cloud adoption and building communication software. So you don't see now just video platforms. You see custom video platforms, custom voice applications that you have the ability to integrate into the products of your choice and create a live experience with your customer or your users, or enable them for your audiences. And all this leads to massive amounts of conversation data, which is stored or lost without unlocking the true potential. I truly believe that conversation data that gets created in a meeting like this, the ones that we are having, is so valuable, and we're still not being able to unlock the true potential of that data. And that's due to several reasons that we will talk about it. But I think we have an opportunity now with the AI stack reaching to a maturity level, with the awareness of what can be done, what use cases can be done in conversations beyond transcription, and with more acceptance of errors that audiences have now, which wasn't there before. It has created an opportunity to truly unlock conversation data. So, and it's not new. We know that there have been use cases that businesses and enterprises have already been doing in these segments, which we have an opportunity to extend with generative AI. So there are use cases that are unlocking completely new workflows and new experiences for businesses using Gen AI, but there are also existing communication workflows and how AI was already used in those workflows that can be now extended with generative AI. So we are going to look at both of those, and that'll help you guys kind of unpack what's the low hanging fruit for you right now in the product that you're building. So if there are experiences with onboarding where people are remotely onboarding as part of any platform, there are experiences with webinars and events like the ones that we are having right now, where I'd love to understand the engagement analytics of the session after it's over. I'd like to get a key questions, automatically create like blog contents out of it that I can post and publish. And I'm sure TPF would like to do the same. Sales calls, which are so critical because people are becoming more and more impatient to buy the product. So the ability to communicate effectively over that 30 minutes of the buyer's time that you have is so critical. Support retention is becoming a really big problem in businesses today. Companies are getting flooded with support requests. How can we streamline and maximize it? And when you're on a call with the agent, how do you get the best experience possible? Customer success, which is becoming more and more a very integral part of every business. There's a whole customer experience organizations that are being spun up because your customers are the biggest source of your current revenues in the company. And if you're not nurturing them, and if you're not evolving your product, and you're not taking their feedback for the organization, you're losing out on your primary audience. So how do we bridge the gaps between the product team? How do we know that when a customer success team speaks to a customer that has a churn risk, that is communicated all the way to the right stakeholders in the company? And then there are so many more customized experiences that I have seen and experienced over the last 5 years with Symbl. That has flooded the market in the way from automated dialing systems to marketing calls to lead generation practices to telehealth use cases, emotional coach for Gen Zs. it's limitless. The possibilities of enabling live interactive communication in your product, including a great shopping experience that so many businesses are adopting now, a whole remote shopping experience. It's amazing. So these communication workflows exist today, and they are waiting to be taken to the next level. And you all have the opportunity to do that with AI. Um, there are some use cases which we are already familiar with, like coaching, providing real time assistance as the call is going on live, making sure that the call is moderated or the video is moderated. From a compliance perspective, automated meeting notes, which is, I'm sure, one of everyone's favorite, tracking actions in the call so that those actions can be recorded and executed post call, now with so many autonomous agents out there. And then monitoring and engagement, because you don't want to be in a conversation which is not engaging. So, how do we continue to track all of that stuff? So this is the enterprise AI stack for conversation data, and it's not new. Let me start by saying that enterprises are already doing a lot of work with their conversation data, and with generative AI, they are extending it massively to a distinct value. So there were already speech tasks that enterprises were doing with their conversation data, call recordings, Zoom recordings, video recordings, or even real-time data was getting stored and used. Speech recognition, translation, speaker separation, redaction. These were existing speech oriented tasks that businesses were involved in. There were discriminative tasks, and there still are, which are super critical to identifying either indexes or enabling search or triggering actions around detecting entities and sentiments and classification of intents and topics, which haven't gone. They're still there. And with generative AI, which is still an evolving enterprise AI stack, and enterprises are thinking about whether we should build with Google or OpenAI, like big organizations, or do we work with specialized domain specific language models, which is going to give us more accuracy and predictability in certain industry or verticals. The buying decision is very fluid and dynamic at the moment. Like, I wouldn't say that we are completely out of the chasm where we exactly know how we make purchase decisions here. And that's why it presents us an opportunity to disrupt how enterprises are thinking about their tech stack. So summarization, which is pretty obvious one that so many businesses are capitalizing on as the first Gen AI use case. Content creation, search, copilot, and all of this data with the conversation data gets fused with the existing data that enterprises would have already, right? So if you have a CRM data and Salesforce data that can be combined with sales calls data, you can get better deal forecasting. So businesses and companies are looking to integrate more and more data sources so that they can, instead of looking at siloed data and predictions, they can combine that data and make sense of it. And that's where the enterprise stack is getting evolved. So existing AI product experiences is what we're going to touch on, because I do want to highlight here that there are existing experiences that businesses are doing where you can add Gen AI. And of course, there are tons of new experiences that are being built, but these are some existing ones which is completely changing the value with generative AI. Search, earlier searches were based on keywords and predefined characteristics. Conversational bot platforms that had limited NLU capabilities. There were knowledge management systems that were centralizing, all your data sources, the docs and the videos and everything together in the same place. Content creation was very limited. There were usually topic recommendations that would come out of existing videos that would then go to the marketing team, and then they would write content. Personalization, which is very critical for every product now, was primarily based on more deterministic patterns, like how do you engage, what's the demographic data, what's the previous commercial history of this customer, and that's how you would end up personalizing. And question answers were very limited, mainly pointing to the right sources of information, but not really summarizing the answer itself. But now with generative AI, you can take all these experiences to a 10x more higher level. So add conversational or dynamic experience with whatever search experience you have. Summarize the results of the search in a way that is easily consumable. Let the conversational abilities go beyond preset intents and make it more open-ended, because the language understanding capabilities with language models have completely unlocked those experiences. Knowledge management that can lead to the generation of net new knowledge because language models have the ability to combine the data which you are providing with the web data, and net new knowledge can be created with that. Personalization, interaction history, and more unstructured insights can be actually taken into consideration now. And then question answering, you can not just get answers to the sources, but now with the context of why you are looking for that answer, you can get to it. So, with those experiences that you're seeing, there's also a change in the landscape of what kind of companies are solving what. And I've put together just a little landscape for you all to kind of think outward in about this ecosystem. We've talked a lot about foundation models. We've talked a lot about like the different models which are available to generate videos or text or embeddings. But if we zoom out, there are really three layers to this whole ecosystem that are being built on top of it, and all you product people actually have an opportunity to figure out which part of these layers does your product resonate today. And if it is not sitting in any layer, what do you have to do to get into any of these layers? And this is also evolving, so take this with a grain of salt, because as we are understanding the landscape and more tooling is coming out, this ecosystem will also change. So there's a whole enterprise layer on top of it, which is industry, which can be specialized to an industry. It can be process specificity, like you want to solve a problem for sales versus customer support. In industry, you want to solve a problem for healthcare versus fintech. And then it could also be multifunctional, which is more horizontal applications. There's a whole tooling ecosystem that you're seeing, which is either LLM or model centric. There are also toolings which are app centric, how to automatically generate an application, automate deployment, all of that stuff, create code from conversations, help developers. And then we have the dev centric, which is increasing dev productivity with GenAI. So all those fit in the tooling section. And then there are a bunch of closed and open source foundation and domain specific models that are the source to any of these, to the enterprise applications, and all the tooling is agnostic to all of these things. So this is how usually the landscape is falling. I'm happy to answer any questions after the session to talk about like how do you guys think about your product and which part of the section does it fit, and how can you take leverage of how people are perceiving the space and then ride on top of it. So as you build the product, you're building it for the enterprise. Enterprises are confused, maybe an overword, but still, they're still figuring out how to make the decision on the buying cycle. And everyone's going through this build versus buy decision, right? So if you're building a language model and you are expecting your customer to buy that language model for you, you have to understand how they think about the build versus buy and put yourself in their shoes. I love this little description and an article that Chip wrote. She's the founder of Claypot, and it really unpacks how businesses are thinking about Gen AI strategy. So I've added a link in the presentation. You guys should definitely take a look. There's an argument for both sides right now, and I think that how you make that decision is critical to is Gen AI and the work that you're doing core to the business in terms of the IP in itself, because there is a massive upfront budget that is required to fund your Gen AI initiative internally if you're building the model ground up. There is a speed to market component, which is usually underseen, because when you look at all the open source model, it seems very simple that, oh, I can just spin up something very quickly and get it to market. It's not that simple, trust me. You do have to invest extensive resources to not just get the first version, but to continuously update it, get the user feedback, set up a RLHF loop, make sure you continue to get user data and undo the biases in the model itself. So there is an extensive work that is required to continue to maintain and grow the accuracy and relevance of your models. So speed to market is a big component there, and massive continued investment, because it's just not about the infrastructure, it's also about the team that you have to build around it. And I think the biggest decision is the control versus ease part. So are you the kind of business, or are you the kind of product person that is thinking about owning this completely and saying, I want to be able to customize the end-to-end stack based on my customer needs, because my customers are so different? And if you have similar customer, then picking a language model and investing more onto the user experience and making that more sticky might be a better investment for the business. So as you are building products in Gen AI, just think about how would your customer do this build versus buy decision, and would they end up consuming your product or would they end up building it? There is an aspect of whole trust and predictability also in the ecosystem that your customers are thinking about right now if you're in companies building Gen AI. And ask this question if you're not already asking it in your organizations, that how do we ensure, where is our data coming from? How do we ensure the quality and predictability of the data itself? Because data is king at this time. It always has been, but I think we just realize it more today. And then there's a whole predictability component with the outcomes that your customers are sees. I love this quote by Jennifer, who is the CEO of PagerDuty, because it clearly outlines the thinking of the buyer. And PagerDuty is an exceptional product, and the way that they have built the product has been so thoughtful because they sit in the middle of very sensitive workloads. And it is true, we will have to go slow to go fast. If we don't understand all the nuances of generative AI and don't build that cautiously into your product, uh, the whole trust and safety stuff which your customers associate your brand with will diminish very fast. However, let me say that there's a lot of FOMO in the industry and you do want to build things fast. So be very clear of what is experimental and what is production ready, and set that expectations with your customers too. They need to know that this is a labs product versus this is a production ready product. It could also depend upon your audiences. Maybe some of you are in companies that are building products that serve more to SMB businesses, small startups, individual teams, freelancers, who are more okay with error prones, who are not that cautious about like what kind of web data is being used to understand my language in itself. But if you're selling to the enterprise, you got to be really really cautious about it. So true value that is going to come through the product needs to be predictable, and you have to find a path to predictability for your generative AI offering. So yeah, that was a lot of the background and the aspects around building the product. Let's do a deep dive into our journey, Symbl itself, and how do we think about the user journey, the distinctness of the value that we are building our product with. So there are four aspects to it. So just a little history there. Symbl has been around for the last 5 years. We launched our product back in 2020, sorry. We are a developer first platform. We provide APIs for state of the art models that can help businesses integrate AI, which is custom built for human conversations. So if you are analyzing a voice and a video call, you want to use Symbl APIs to integrate into it very quickly and build the experience of your choice. Our customers are developers and product managers that are building AI into their communication workflows. So we have to be mindful about their experience of not just using the product, their customers using the product, but also about their journey of building the product with Symbl. So every decision that we make is double personified. We have a primary persona and we have a secondary persona for whom we build the product. And user journey is critical because there's a user journey of the developer that is integrating Symbl, and then there's a user journey of our UI experiences that the end user sees. And I'll just in a second show you guys our latest experience that we have built. It's an embeddable UI component that we launched. Actually, is going to be announced formally on Tuesday, but this is a pre-launch for you all here of how we are using Gen AI in multiple ways in order to visualize a new way of understanding the calls. But I think there are a couple of foundational pillars that we thought about while we were building this, that we want to give a very high distinct value with this experience. So if people are already thinking about doing something in some way, in X way, we want to be able to do make the experience 10x better. So the distinctness of the experience value has to be there. The user journey has to be same. Like, we don't want to introduce a new way for them to do things. So we really thought about what's the best way for them to consume the information in the tools of their choice and the way that they're building this already, so that there's not a lot of new learnings. And how do we integrate feedback and learnings into this? Because you all know with generative AI, the understanding of human biases in how they perceive the information is so subjective. So it's really critical that when someone gets the information of the insights that you're generating from GenAI, they are able to provide their feedback, whether it is thumbs up, thumbs down, or whether it is actually going and editing the information. And if you receive those edits, the old version and then the new version by the user, you can push it into your RLHF loop to get training done and personalize that for specific businesses. So that way you are almost telling them that the initial biases of the system will be covered with the ongoing learning and feedback loop that we are setting for your businesses. And that really helps by building trust with this new technology for your customers. And then a use case, experience, workflow. There are three things, but they all need to sit together. All ducks need to be in the row. So clearly articulate what use case are you building for? What is the experience and how it needs to be? How does it need to show? And what workflow will you target? Is it cross workflows? Is it a system of intelligence, or is it an intelligence sitting in the system of record, which is like CRM systems or things like that? So those are, I think, some of the things to think about. So yeah, this is our embeddable UI component that we have built, and it's going to be officially released on Tuesday. So it's going to be available in our documentation. You will have access to it to try, play around with. And there are multiple GenAI pieces here, which are stitched with existing AI capabilities. And that's what I want to bring to attention here, that with the availability of generative AI, it's not just thinking about Gen AI solutions. Think about how you can use existing AI capabilities and extend the value with that. So you see summarization here up the top. That is generative AI piece. Of course, summarization can be done in context of the business itself, which is pretty unique in its own self. We actually released our first summarization model back in 2021. So it was amazing when ChatGPT came out because we got a little bit of rush out of that. The call sentiment is still a critical part of understanding the calls, and it is a more deterministic AI outcome that we already have been using. We're not new to call sentiments here, but we have taken the opportunity to extend the sentiment of the call with the scoring of the call, which is a new way to think about how did the call go? Like, how well was the call, really, if you have to answer that. So call score is a complete Gen AI piece, although it looks more analytical, but it has been built by answering specific questions that maps to all these categories. So there's a communication and engagement component of the call where you have to, in context that it was a sales call, and in context of what stage was it in the sales, how do we identify that? How was the communication and engagement? Because that would mean very different for the webinar that we are, or the event that we are doing now, where I am the only one who's talking. But in a sales conversation or a customer support conversation, there has to be a distribution of talk time. So figuring out what are the key questions that you can ask to create a score or to create an easy way to consume that. So instead of showing answers to the questions to people to consume how was the best communication and engagement, this is a new way to represent that score. And similarly, there are the scores around forward motion and question handling and sales process, and then additional open-ended questions that are then automatically created. And these questions change with your conversation because of the specialization of the language model that powers this, that understands the characteristics of conversation data. The key questions that you see here highlighted are coming with respect to the conversation itself. So if I am doing a sales call here, I don't want a question that talks about how was the engagement of the session, or what are the key topics of the discussion, because that's not that relevant to me. What's more relevant to me is that, was there an objection on the call? Will this deal still close? So those as making sure that you're able to even surface the right questions to the user to completely eliminate any kind of confusion and predictability issues is very critical. So that's the new experience, and yeah, happy to deep dive into it eventually. But the way that we built it was that we know that people are already solving this problem by listening to calls. We know that people are solving this problem by understanding the sentiment of the calls. And then there's a whole summarization that people like doing, or sales team like doing in their CRM. How can we combine all of them and put that together so that the time to listen to a recording completely gets eliminated, and the post call analysis that we do is also encapsulated in the same way? So just rethink the use case, the experience, and the workflow, and then combine all of that together to arrive at like a distinct value that you can give to the customer. So a lot of people talk about product market fit. I don't think it's product market fit. I think it's like product market sales fit, because you shouldn't stop at $1 million when you can make a billion. And it is important. Sales is not an afterthought. When you're building this product with your Gen AI, think about how you're going to monetize it. Because COGS is very different for generative AI products as opposed to other existing product. So you want to be able to understand the pricing model of the language model that you're using, your product, existing business model, and how does all of that fit together. So think about pricing very actively from day one when you're building the product. Leverage Gen AI in multiple ways. If you're product builders, you can think about leveraging Gen AI to upsell the product, so that your existing customers pay you more money, and then you have a better NDR story in their business. NDR is net dollar retention, which describes how sticky is your product and how sticky are your customers. Differentiate the product. If you feel there are too many competitors in the market, but if you launch a great Gen AI experience, it is going to help you differentiate it. That's a tactic you can use. If you are thinking about like convincing your stakeholders about using Gen AI, these are some of the things that you can actually piggyback on. Or just retain customers, because maybe your competitor launched a Gen AI feature, but you haven't. So now, do you want to actually build the same parity within your product to retain your customers? And it could be critical. So when you're talking to your stakeholders around you, ask this question intentionally, because you should know the goal of using Gen AI in your product, right? Is it to upsell? Is it to differentiate? Is it to retain? Or are we going to market with a new product and creating a new line of business completely? And if that is the case, then think out of the box, because if you're building a new product, there are limitless possibilities, because users are acceptable to new ways of doing things, and that has never happened in the software industry, that you end users themselves are totally okay to learn new ways of doing things. And so ride on this opportunity if you are building a new product. So yeah, let's do another poll here, because I've been talking a lot. But I know you all are thinking about building Gen AI experience. And what kind of experiences are you building for? I'd love to know. Whether are you thinking about building in customer experience, revenue growth, tackling recruitment problems, internal operations, employee engagement, or industry specific? Yeah. So Aisha, I don't know if you have a poll.
Yes, the poll is live. The votes are coming in. Guys, more votes. I'll show on
Yeah,
stage.
we will have lots of cool demo right now, so don't worry about it. This is for you all. OOB means out of the box. I'm taking some questions while I'm speaking, so that you guys know a little bit about it. But yeah, OOB means out of the box. That means think new, think creative, think something which hasn't been done before. Okay, so how does the
More
poll
votes.
look like?
Last second, maybe, guys, and then I'll close the poll.
There is a huge opportunity with enterprise applications that are embedding conversational AI and use cases around conversational AI. There is a massive uplift from 2020 to 2024. Enterprise buyers are looking for solutions. So there's a big opportunity for all of you to build a business, build a product, extend the product, and take that leverage of the momentum. Yep.
I think customer retention has the highest votes.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Yes, that is true too. A lot of customer retention issues are we are seeing in the market today. So it's definitely an interesting area to disrupt. So thank you for that, sharing the information. Uh, that's all for my session. My goal was just to give you guys context in terms of how to think about product building. If you already have AI in your product, extend the value in the same workflow. If you don't have and you're building new products, these are some of the constraints that you should be thinking about. And a little sneak peek into how we did it with Symbl and how we thought about the use case. And now I'll give it up to David so that he can take you through demos and more details. So yeah, very excited to welcome David here. David has been leading developer advocacy and relations at Symbl for a long time, and he's a champion of our community who are building new products and experiences with Symbl. So thanks, David, for being here. I know this was last moment, but I'm very Great that you're here. So I'll let you take over.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Very appreciate it a lot. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Hopefully this will work. There we go. Alrighty. So yeah, gonna have like a workshop, bunch of hands-on demos here. So kind of go over a lot of like, what had been talked about previously with that Surbhi, and kind of like put that stuff and apply it, to like practical examples, look at some APIs and all that fun stuff. So we're gonna kind of really focus this section of this talk here to like enhancing your like communication workflows, specifically obviously using generative AI, and like kind of like think about different ways and methods to like kind of like co-pilot your conversations. So have like generative AI, be like someone you can collaborate with and talk with, even though they're an AI, it's generative AI is awesome in the fact that, even though, despite being an AI, it's very creative in certain ways. And, it gives you an opportunity to like have someone else, but not be a physical person, give you different perspective on like how to handle conversation and stuff like that. So just a little about myself. So I kind of think of myself as a conversation engineer. I started not in, doing conversation understanding related AI and ML stuff. Previously, I had worked in, application infrastructure. So like working Kubernetes, doing DevOps related stuff. A lot of that had stemmed from doing virtual machine related work. So specifically like VMware vSphere and in the cloud, like AWS, GCE, and all that fun stuff. I'm constantly automating, and doing automation. Automation's awesome because a lot of people get scared about automation, because they always think that they're going to get replaced by automation, and I'm here to tell you you're not. I always try to. The joke is like I'm always trying to like automate myself out of a job, and the reason why I kind of say that is because when you automate the tasks that you already know, right, it gives you opportunity to work on new things, new and more interesting things. So that's why like automation is actually a really, really good thing. Definitely, like it kind of had already said, I have a lot of cloud experience, and like going way back, I came from the storage industry too. This is actually writing firmware drivers and application management stuff for storage adapters. So it's kind of all over the place, but I'm happy to jump into this new and exciting phase of large language models, generative AI, and stuff like that. So for this section, this workshop section, the agenda, we're going to, in order to like take conversation analytics and being able to process conversation, I need to kind of first tell you about the Symbl platform, give you an introduction to that, like what are the capabilities. Then there's a cool feature that we're going to like focus on and take a look at. It gives you the ability to, in a very simple way, like generate your own kind of AI embeddings without having to be like an ML expert. And that's through our feature called Trackers. And then kind of we're going to take all of this stuff and then combine everything, right? Combine like the capabilities of doing conversation analytics with the Symbl platform, and then also use generative AI to like marry these two technologies kind of together, these two different ways of doing things, and kind of see what we can create out of that. And then obviously at the end we'll have some Q&A for both me and Surbhi. So the Symbl platform, just to give you some background, Surbhi's talked about it quite a bit, but I'm going to give you a slight, some more detail here. So the Symbl platform, does conversation analytics. It's much more than just conversation analytics, right? It's a platform for doing like call center intelligence, sales intelligence. It's multifaceted. It has many different capabilities of analyzing what is being said in domain-specific areas like sales, for example. And it kind of really focuses on extracting, not just doing basic transcription, but it really focuses on understanding like what is being said. So you can kind of think of this in many different ways, like data labeling, extracting the actual insight from what is being discussed in like a Zoom meeting or like a meeting like this. It's a SaaS-based platform, which is really cool because that means you don't need to stand up or any kind of LLM. You don't need to stand up infrastructure in order to extract insights from conversation. Because it is a SaaS-based platform, you can access it through APIs. It's really easy to consume, REST APIs for doing like asynchronous stuff, and then like WebSockets for doing like real-time conversation analytics. And the good thing is that Symbl's like domain agnostic, and it gives you the capabilities of like augmenting with embeddings, kind of to really focus and hone in on like what specifically your domain or what your area of expertise is. And works on video, audio, text. And like I said, API driven, many SDKs out there, and you don't need to stand anything up. It's instead of standing up, having the team of ML engineers try to figure out how to like train models and stuff like that. We take care of that heavy lifting for you, and continually refine the models to get better accuracy and improvements to the platform. So that's kind of like a brief overview about Symbl and the platform. I'm going to go over these next slides really quickly and just talk about them, and then we're actually going to go ahead and use them. And I kind of just have these 3 slides here to give you a reference and links so that you can click through after the presentation, so that you have access to them and they're really easy to find. The first one, you can access all of the Symbl APIs through a Postman collection that we have. If you're interested in like walking through that and using those APIs, you can go ahead and click this link right here. So this takes you to our documentation with, if you're not familiar with Postman and like, how to call APIs, using in your web browser. This is like step by step, like how to get started with that and like really kind of understand like the APIs that we have to offer. The next thing we're going to take a look at is the API Explorer. So there's a lot of people who, aren't engineers and don't know how to do APIs and all that stuff. So the API Explorer is a really cool way, not looking at code, but actually, as someone who's maybe in product, for example, you don't really understand code, but you're doing like you're looking to like integrate these features into your product. This kind of gives you an overview to exercise those APIs without having to call the APIs. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. And we're also going to take a look at the playground, which is, another way of kind of looking at those APIs. And in this section, I'm going to kind of focus on the streaming, so the real-time aspects of the Symbl platform and how you can extract insights from the conversation. So let me go ahead and share my desktop here. Oops, wrong button. Alrighty, so if you go to that link that I had mentioned that contains like a getting started for Postman, it'll basically, when you get everything set up, and you clone our Postman collection, this is kind of what you'll end up with. And it kind of has on the left-hand side, you can see all of the APIs that we have available. There's a whole bunch of them. These are different insights that you can extract from conversations. These are obviously asynchronous. So we're going to exercise a few of them right now. After you're done cloning the Postman repo, you're going to have to set up a bunch of just a couple environment and variables. They're the app ID and app secret. They're effectively like a cookie or a session token that you can use to access the APIs. That is done here. So you can see, instead of having no environment, I've already created that environment for myself, so we don't have to go through and like look through that tedious stuff as I'm setting all that stuff up. And once you have all that, your app ID and your app secret installed, the next thing you need to do, right, is take that app ID and app secret, and you're going to need to generate a session token, right, authenticate with the platform. And if you take a look at the which I'm gonna probably have to change later, but you have the, oh, actually, I forgot it's redacted out. So if you take a look at the body or the JSON that I'm going to post, right, we're doing a post operation here to authenticate to the platform. It's going to send an app ID, which is going to take from the environment variables, and the app secret, which is going to also be taken from the environment variables, and we're going to post that to the platform. And when we do that, we'll get an access token, which is what you can see here. And then it also gives you a time to expire. And so with that access token, we're then going to take all of, we have all the capabilities that we can access for in terms of the APIs. And so in this kind of like demo, I'm going to just do a very simple post, an audio file, which is in the form of a URL. So if we go ahead and take a look at this here, the next thing I'm going to do is post a wave file, which is just a conversation that we use in all of our kind of demos. It's one that's available publicly, so you can, obviously when you clone the repo, you can go ahead and do this yourself as well. It's going to take this audio file, and we're going to extract the, instruct the Symbl platform to take this, look up this URL, extract the wave file, and then process it for insights in the conversation. So we're doing a post with this body of JSON right here, and we're going to hit send. And because conversations can be any, can be any length, right? It could be in a couple minutes, or, in many like sessions like this, it could be many hours. Hopefully we don't go that long because we have a stop, but because it takes a long time to process those conversations, right? We get a conversation ID and a job ID, and we need to check the status for that job. So there's an API to check the status of that particular job. And we're going to just do a send request. And if I had gotten to it sooner, it would probably still say that it's in process. But when you check the job status here, you can see that it's already completed. And from here, now on the back end of the platform, we've consumed that that conversation in the form of a WAV file in the platform, and from there we can start to extract all of the insights that are that we have that you can pull from that particular conversation. So like the very basic and the very obvious one is like, do a transcription, grab all of the messages and everything that was stated in that particular conversation. So if you go to the get messages API, right, you go get version 1 conversations. We take that conversation ID, which is what we had uploaded in that form of the WAV file, and then grab all of the messages. And when we do that, you can see all of the messages with the timestamps, the duration, the conversation ID. You can see all of what was said in that particular conversation, which is cool because, now you have an idea of what was being said, right? But, like I said, we're more than a transcription platform, right? Or, there's different insights that we can extract from, a given conversation. So if we call the topics API, so conversation ID topics, and we do a send on this, we can get all of the topics that were mentioned with the message references that generated that topic. So as an example, in the first one that we see here, the first topic that we see is bankers. So this seems to be some sort of financial related conversation. And you can see the message IDs that, contributed to the Symbl platform flagging this particular topic as of interest. And then there's another one like separate system, shop adage. So it's a really cool way to get topics. Some other interesting things, let's go ahead and do entities. So entities, not everyone might be familiar with this, but entities I kind of think of as like person, place, or thing. But kind of more formally, this is like personal identifiable information, health information, payment, credit card related information. It gives you, there's a bunch of entities that we have, provided the platform out of the box for you, but you can also create your own custom entities to extract from a conversation. So if we call this API, which is, taking that same conversation ID and calling /entities, and we do a get operation on that, we can see all of the entities that had been mentioned in that particular conversation. So as an example, The first one we see is like personal identifiable information. The subcategory is occupation and banker, right? So that this is an entity that has been discussed or had been mentioned in the conversation, and it also gives you the text in which that originated from with message IDs, start times, and stuff like that. So there's a mention of a mechanic and so on and so forth. So I guess could take a look at another piece. So instead of occupation, we have like marital status, person's name, so Lee. So you can get a lot of things that are, in terms of like entities and stuff like that, extracted from the conversation. You can see the complete list on the website and the documentation. Like I said, you can also create your own. So there's some that are specific towards your like sales related stuff, or you're doing like a call center related things. You can definitely create those and then be notified of them, and when you extract entities from your conversations.
David, could you
Yep.
please zoom in the screen? People
Oh,
are putting in
sure.
the chat to maximize the screen, please.
I can see. Is that better?
Let us know, guys. Is it better in reactions and comments? If you can, is it
I forgot
visible? Yeah, it's thumbs up. So it should pop in.
Okay, cool. So let me do another one just so that we have like better visibility here. Let's do how about just questions? So basically this API call is to extract all the questions in a in this conversation. So let's see if there were any. I'm not sure. So there weren't any. Not really interesting. Yeah. Let me try this one. Let's see if there are any action items, and nothing on this one. So I guess it's a fairly simple conversation, but you kind of get the idea. You're able to make a simple REST call to obtain all of the conversation insights that happen within a given conversation. So if you're not API oriented and you're not like a programmer and you're like marketing and or even product, and you want to be able to exercise these capabilities, this is where the API Explorer comes in. So you can go to platform.symbl.ai, sign up. You don't need a credit card or anything. You get 1,000 minutes to process conversations and process words every month, and it's completely, you get that every month for free. Create an account. You can do it as simple as a click to use your Google sign up email to sign up for that, and you immediately get access and get dumped into the Symbl platform, the page you see here. So you access the API Explorer, and you can do something very similar. Instead of calling APIs directly, you can just go ahead and click through. So if we look at topics, if we wanted to like extract topics from a given conversation, you can go ahead and click topics here. And just like before, like in the APIs, it's the 4 steps that I had went through previously. You can see them at the top here, to just authenticate, with the platform, process a conversation. That could be either upload, reference a URL, check the job status, see if that conversation has been processed, and then generate the intelligence. And in this case, because I had selected topics, it would be generate all the topics in that conversation. So let's, just to give you a preview, let's go ahead and take a look here. So I'm going to run the request. You can see that I have the token created here, my access token. This is the JSON or the curl command that I used with the JSON, right, which we had seen in the previous Postman demo. The JSON with the app ID app secret, which now I might need to change that one. So then you click next, and we want to write the second thing is process a conversation. We have a bunch of pre-canned, different conversations in the form of MP3s, like a customer support call, news segments, and speech. You can also upload a file. You can also provide your own URL. And there's also some pre-canned existing conversations with the conversation ID you can just, process. So in this case, let's just go ahead and use the customer support call, which is the first one. This is what the curl command would look like for making that API call. So if we go ahead and run this call, you can see that we have a conversation ID, which is a unique pointer to this particular conversation, and the job ID. And with that job ID, again, we're going to check for the job status. Let's see if it's not. So this one, we're checking the job status with this curl command. We can see that it is now completed, but if we look a second ago, this continually refreshes in the background. So if we had first noticed it when I clicked it, it said still in progress, but now it's been completed. So we know that the insights are able to be extracted from that conversation at this point. We can go ahead and click next. And we're going to now generate the intelligence. And in this case, it's grab all the topics in this conversation. And so we're going to use this curl command and run the request. And here you can see all of the topics in this particular conversation. Since this was like a tech support service type call, you can see the topics are service provider and service technician. So these are effectively all the topics given in this conversation. If you go back to the API Explorer, you can see all of the different capabilities that are there. This is not all of them, but this is a good means of, without programmatically doing things, to see how the platform behaves and like the different capabilities that are there. And the next thing I'm going to take a look at before taking a break and so I have an opportunity to look at the chat window to see if there are any questions that I could probably take quickly. The next thing is just the playground. I think this is a really cool way for you to understand how to stream live audio. And it's in this first link here. So you can click stream conversation. And this is going to be interesting because I'm going to click the start speaking button. I'm going to start saying a few words, and you'll be able to see the transcription with the sentiment analysis and all this other stuff fill in once I'm done. And I'm done with the conversation and I click end. So let's go ahead and try that right now. My name is David. I am a software engineer. I live in Long Beach, California. I love it here. It's located in sunny Southern California. So you can see the transcription. Obviously, transcription is kind of like basic to conversation understanding, but you can see a lot of the different insights. If I had spoken for a little bit longer, you'd probably see more additional topics, which we'll actually get to a little bit later. But you can see a summary of that particular conversation, some insights that you can click through. So in this example, we have displayed are different entities. So this is personal identifiable information, like my name, my occupation, where I live, and in Southern California. There's various analytics. You can go ahead, do very similar like what I did, sign up on the platform, click through, and go ahead, click the start recording button, start speaking, tell a story, and you can see all of the insights that will be generated in real time, which is very, very awesome. So having said that, now I'm actually back to the window so I can see what everyone else's reactions are. So it's pretty cool. It's, like I said, you can go ahead, whether it's an API form or not. There's kind of something there for everyone to kind of understand how the platform works. And so cool. And let me go ahead back to the presentation. I don't know if there are any pressing questions like the size of the text, which is very important so everyone can see what I'm doing. But cool. Appreciate the kind words there in the chat. So let's move on to the next section. So let's talk about AI embeddings and kind of how Symbl, the platform, captures that in the form of trackers. So before we kind of go into and deep dive into that, what are AI embeddings? I think it's a good way to just kind of level set and just talk about what it is. So AI embeddings are, by definition, vectors that represent meaning and context of tokens that the model processes. If you're an AI ML person, you know exactly what that means. If you are not, the TLDR is basically you are creating shortcuts to make the model more accurate. That's kind of like the very basic understanding, like something that I think everyone can consume. Obviously there are technical details in a bunch of that, but effectively that's what it is you're making shortcuts to make your model more efficient, smarter, more accurate. So that's what AI embeddings are. So these shortcuts are, it's kind of cool. These shortcuts can be used for input. So making the understanding of the input you're providing more accurate. And it also can be used, AI embeddings can be used for output. So making the output of what is being given back to you, the user, more accurate. So this would be like, since kind of everyone's really familiar with like ChatGPT, if you had something that's very specific to like your sales organization and you wanted to use AI embeddings to make the output specific towards your organization, you could do that with AI embeddings and tailor the output towards what you're doing. Some other just terms that you should be familiar with, transfer learning. So these are, it's pre-trained models that are applied downstream, and that's kind of like captures like what AI embeddings are, right? It's it's being able to take something that's very specific and apply it to like a more generalized model and being able to make it more accurate. But kind of at the end of the day, like what AI embeddings are, like the encapsulation of it is, more generic LLMs are going to be able to crunch data. That's kind of like what they do. They are able to ingest a large amount of it, a large amount of raw data. But what AI embeddings are, it's basically making that ingestion of that information and also what is being presented back to you, the user, more meaningful to you. And so if anything is a kind of like the what you need to take away from AI embeddings, it's that, right? It's basically shortcuts to make the model more accurate. So how does that relate? So next we're going to talk about symbol trackers. And we created this feature in order for people to take advantage of AI embeddings without having to be an ML expert. So there are definitely ways to make the, have a model and then create your AI embeddings and then apply, first train the model, make sure that you're training it correctly. You're actually increasing the accuracy of what you're doing, because oftentimes you can provide input that do the exact opposite unknowingly. And, then take your AI embeddings and apply it to the model. You can certainly do that for like, LLMs and stuff that are out there. But this is an easy way for anyone, and I literally mean anyone, to augment a model without having to go through those details to understand like how to do AI embeddings. Kind of now to give you, now that I framed it, so symbol trackers is composed of vocabulary. So this is basically you're providing vocabulary and phrases, and it's the symbol platform analyzes that vocabulary and those phrases, and it creates that AI embedding for you and applies it to like what you're interested in finding in a particular conversation. So it creates that tracking context for like things you want to extract. And just to kind of give you a background, it's not a simple text or substring match. So it's not like looking for a particular word in a conversation. It is literally taking a phrase and it's deconstructing that and then understanding and creating like an AI embedding and applying it to a particular, applying it to the language model that we have, right? So the Symbl platform. The intention of the tracker is then to match it with fragments that are being discussed, whether it's asynchronously, like, with pre-recorded conversation, whether it's video or audio or text, or in real time. So these are also capabilities that can happen in real time. And trackers, like I said, are meant to be like a user-friendly user-friendly means of consuming AI embeddings. And the phrases generate a model. So this is kind of like the summary of like what symbol trackers are. And so because I'm a visual learner, like if someone talks about things, it's very hard for me to like kind of understand like what all this is, but I'm a very visual learner. So I created this diagram to kind of like help people visually understand like what's going on. So if we look at the diagram right here, you can see that I've created a tracker called Vacation, and we're actually going to take a look at this inside the Symbl platform right after this. So we're actually going to take a look at a live look at this. So I've created a tracker called Vacation. So think of the tracker as kind of like a container of like a concept. And you want to how do you want to capture that concept? So if I'm creating a vacation tracker, like some phrases that I might want to put in this particular tracker to understand the concept of vacation might be go on a cruise or board a flight or go on a road trip. These are all things that are very symbolic of going on vacation. But instead of just looking for the keyword vacation, like which would be the very non-ML way, an AI way of doing it, we're providing these phrases to provide like an AI embedding, and we're taking the collection of these phrases to create this concept of vacation. And so when things that are being discussed in real time, like which we see at the bottom here, if there's a conversation that's happening, so if someone's saying, it's been a while since I've taken time off work, it takes a look at what is being said, the intention behind what is being said, and it takes to see and looks to see if that intention maps with the intention of the tracker. And so then the next thing is it's Wednesday and I only have a few more days left of work. I'm counting the hours until Friday, and I plan on flying to Japan on my vacation immediately after work. And when it finds that intention and that intention matches, it's going to have surface that particular phrase or that particular sentence, like I'm flying to Japan on my vacation immediately after work. And it's going to surface that in the form of an insight to, your admin, your end user, your sales rep, like whatever it is that your platform does, it's going to surface that to the user to let them know this intention is being captured and like, here it is. So I think it's a really powerful, tool to understand like AI embeddings, and it's a really powerful thing that I think that the Symbl platform offers, and that's why I'm kind of calling it out here. So I'm going to go ahead and reshare a different screen. So let me go back to this. Oops, looks like I've already closed my. So if you go ahead and log back into the Symbl platform, so platform.symbl.ai, you can see trackers that are there. Go click tracker management. We provide a huge library of trackers or things that you might be interested in. You could, enable, disable based on like what your company, your business, your project needs are. And you can literally just enable, let's see, there's a whole bunch of different trackers that we provide you. So like, apathy, assurance, call purpose, empathy, greetings, introductions. So if you go ahead and if you enable certain ones here, like greetings and introductions, and you're streaming a real-time conversation, and everyone jumps onto a call and you say, hi, my name is David, blah 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 blah, it's going to flag that particular intention or that sentiment, that idea, based on this Symbl introduction tracker being enabled. And it's going to take that, hi, my name is David, that introduction, and it's going to send an insight to like whatever your feature, your platform, your end user is interested in. So this is a cool way to extract things like pain points, politeness, proficiencies, pricing. So if you're looking at doing sales related things, it's a really cool way of getting a bunch of different insights in the form of trackers related to conversations right out of the box. And if these don't happen to match what you're specifically doing at your company, your project, or your product, you can create your own trackers. And so you can create as many trackers here as you want. You can see the ones that are managed, that are provided by default for you. Just need to enable. I've created a tracker just kind of like to mimic what has been kind of done in the presentation in the slide deck. So I created a vacation tracker. And if you click down in there, you can, basically create a description, what category is it in, and then provide your vocabularies, which are really just phrases capturing the idea of what a vacation is, right? The essence of a vacation. So I'm going to go ahead and enable that. And we're going to use that a little later, and actually in the next section, which we're just about to jump to. But kind of to summarize again, trackers is a very cool way of doing AI embeddings without having to know anything about AI embeddings. So it's a way to augment the model with something that's very specific towards your business, and be notified of it when those things happen to match what is being discussed, whether it's in real time or async. So go ahead and go back to the presentation here. Alrighty. Had discussed tracker management. Again, you can go ahead and access the the feature in the management in the platform in the Symbl.ai, and you have the URL there. But again, you can find it on the left-hand side. So we've talked about conversation understanding, extracting insights from conversations, like really understanding the context and the essence of what's being discussed. So now, obviously we're building all of this up to kind of like the culmination of the talk, which is like how generative AI and how we can take these two things and, combine them to kind of get very unique experiences for your, product application and, product. So we're going to take this idea of taking conversations and enhancing it with generative AI. Oops. So, like I said, we're going to take a real-time conversation. So we're kind of effectively going to take that, like one of the first things that I had shown you, which was that microphone recording as I was talking in. We were extracting real-time insights using the real-time Symbl API using WebSockets. We're going to get notifications of those insights as they happen in real time. We're going to take a look and try to trigger that vacation tracker that I hadn't created, but we had just talked about in the previous section there about AI embeddings. And then we're going to create responses for insights that are being generated by the platform. And we're going to use generative AI. So we're going to use an LLM to generate I'm just going to, generate different insights or different conversation, co-piloting related stuff that could help me drive a conversation like in the real world. And so that's what we're going to demo. That's what I'm going to demo today. And let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go back to my screen here. And entire screen. Alrighty, let's go ahead and minimize that. So I am a console person, so hardcore engineer here. So I just kind of want to give you a basic look at the streaming API without all of that generative AI stuff involved, just so that we can have an idea of like what the platform kind of gives you. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into how we can enhance those conversations with generative AI. So just to give you like a basic rundown, I'm just going to run this little application. It's written in Go. We have different bindings to different languages. And there's also, the spec is out there published in our documentation. So if there isn't one that matches the language that you use, you can go ahead, and it's very, very simple, the protocol in order to like get insights from the Symbl platform. But I'm just going to run that application. I'm going to start talking. Hi, my name is David. I am a software engineer. I live in Long Beach, California. So you can see, oops, I didn't actually let it run long enough. Problem with live demos, right? My name is David, and I live in Long Beach, California. Alrighty. So, just kind of give you, like I said, we're streaming this in real time. I had to redo it, but I basically said a very simple sentence. You can see if you're doing stuff like closed captioning, or you're doing transcription in real time. You can see that as was talking, it's processing the conversation of like what I'm saying in real time. So, hi, my name is David, and I live in Long Beach, right, and California. And then once it finally gets to like message complete, like, is this a final thought, you'll get this is final true, and then you'll get a bunch of things that are associated with this particular sentence. You'll get the punctuated version of it, but like kind of more importantly is there's personal identifiable information in that particular sentence. Even though it was just one sentence, we had invoked a couple of them. So we had basically some personal identifiable information that was identified in this in that one sentence. Obviously, my name. So this is my name, David, right? This is personal identifiable information. This is my name. And then another one that was detected, which is Long Beach, California. It's personal identifiable information, and it's a location. And so you can extract all of these insights from conversations in real time, like using a microphone in a Zoom meeting, wherever. If you have a CPaaS platform that's out there, we probably have an integration for it. And yeah, this is how you can extract entities, topics, trackers for conversations. So now that we kind of have a basic understanding of how that works, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that real-time WebSocket interface. I'm going to say, again, start up this application. It's pretty simple. It's written in Go. It's going to connect to the Symbl platform again using WebSockets. I'm going to say a few words, but this time, instead of just dumping out the raw JSON of a message, I want this. I'm going to use an LLM or generative AI in the background, and if it receives a question, I want the generative AI component to attempt to answer that question and then provide it to me in the console. If it's like an entity, I want the generative AI component to generate two like well-known facts about that entity and two obscure facts that the user may not know. And if it's a tracker, I just want to like have the generative AI piece do two obscure and two well-known facts about that particular tracker. And so again, this is taking in real time conversation. I'm just doing this locally on my laptop here, but I'm augmenting the conversation using generative AI. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Do you know anything about Long Beach, California? I would like to travel there someday. It would be an interesting vacation to go on. All right. So if we take a look at this, we can see I said a couple things, and it's basically taking my input here. So I was speaking the microphone. This is the first thing I said. It says, "Do you know anything about Long Beach, California?" And it recognized that this was a question that was being asked. This is just for demonstration purposes, but this is the prompt that I provided this LLM in order to uh, come up with 3 concise answers that someone might, with more passing familiarity on the subject, might reply with. And the generative AI piece replied back, like, yes, Long Beach, California is a coastal city located in Los Angeles County. It's known for its iconic attractions like the Queen Mary, blah, blah, blah. And then 2 other facts. Because it's an entity, right? It's not only a question, but there's also recognized the entity of Long Beach, California. It says come up with 2 general facts and 2 obscure facts about Long Beach. It's the 7th largest city in California and the 39th largest in the United States. So this is the response that the generative AI piece gave. There's 2 general facts and then 2 more obscure facts. This is always interesting what it kind of comes up with. So like the first obscure fact is home to the world's largest mural by a single artist, the Great Wall of Long Beach, located in Long Beach Clothing Village, blah, blah, blah. For those that haven't traveled, have been to Long Beach, there are murals all over the place here in Long Beach. There are so many of them. They're on the sides of buildings randomly, parking structures, utility boxes. It's actually pretty awesome. And it's really cool that this thing had picked that up and provided that. And then I said, it would be interesting to go on vacation here. So we invoked the topic of trackers. Vacation came up, and I asked the generative AI piece just to come up with something about vacation. If this was actually a more interesting tracker besides vacations, it would probably give something a little more meaningful. But like I said, you can create your own tracker to do whatever you want to do, like whatever you're interested in doing. Again, this is backed by AI embeddings. These are phrases that you give and provide to the Symbl platform, enable to create this container or this concept of a vacation. And when someone talks about it in a given conversation, you can flag that in real time and have something really cool with generative AI to help steer the conversation, provide more insight. These are very simple examples, but hopefully this is like you dipping your toe into like find out like what other interesting and cool things you can do with generative AI and conversation understanding and learning. And so that kind of I think it's a cool way to like demo and like marry those two topics there. So
David, just hands on the time, heads up on time. We
yep,
are running a little short, so we can start taking Q&A now.
yep.
Or is there anything more to show?
No, actually, that is it. That is exactly it. So, just as an announcement that we're going to do that we did on Friday, Symbl has our own generative AI. It's conversation specific AI models to like help you uh, do things that are specific towards like conversation understanding, entity recognition, accuracy. It's because it's local to the Symbl platform. There's speed involved, so you're not hitting some other third party. It's UI enabled, API driven, and like it's very because we're providing an LLM to do conversation understanding, and it's all contained within the Symbl platform. You're not providing sensitive data to like ChatGPT. An interesting fact out there is that like 8 or 9% of people that are sharing and providing input to ChatGPT are sharing confidential and proprietary information that ChatGPT then uses to enhance its model. So you could be taking your company confidential information and be providing it to other people. If you're more interested in that, I would encourage you to Google Samsung and ChatGPT and confidential information, and you'll probably be quite surprised. Having said that, join the community. We're on Slack and GitHub. And questions?
Right. I think I can start sharing screen now. I'll bring Surbhi on stage, though she has so patiently answered all the questions in the chat one by one.
Super appreciate that, Surbhi. It's so hard to like answer questions and do demos and stuff like that.
Welcome back, Surbhi.
Hello.
Guys, any more questions, please put it on chat in
I've
the
had a
Q&A.
ball in interacting with everyone. So yeah, thank you guys for all your insightful questions, comments, thoughts, and everything. I do want to take one. I think a couple of the ones which we haven't already covered. Um, I think there was a question. Where can we see the questions here? Aisha?
You can go to the Q&A tab and sort by upvotes if you want, or you can
Yeah,
take their question in the
yeah.
chats. Yeah.
I want to take a question by Velinki, and they talked about what is the way in which enterprises can trade on Gen AI path or transformation. There's a lot of challenge in terms of data and change management, and what is the view? I 100% agree with that, and I think enterprises are more complex because of privacy and security of data. So you don't have access to that data. That's one problem. The other problem is data is siloed. So the customer support team will not give data to the sales team and the product management team. We always see those issues. I worked in Amdocs for the longest time, so I understand very deeply the enterprise pain points. But I think there are a couple of things that you can do. First of all, I think find a champion in the exec team. I'm sure there's someone who resonates to the problem that you want to solve. So find that champion and make sure that you bring, kind of like a group with you to make sure that to combat this problem. And I think the second thing that you can do is start small. So there are still some synthetic data and open source data sources which are available outside where you can build a proof of concept very quickly and show. So once you show value, people will be able to try to come on that journey more. And the third thing you can do is find a customer and put a dollar value attached to it. So if you do those things, I feel like you can try to fight your case of building a Gen AI offering. So I don't know if that was helpful, but Valinke, I wanted to cover that. Okay. I anything else? Any other questions, Aisha, that you see? I mean, there are so many. Which ones
Yeah.
should I?
We can take the most upvoted one. What's your opinion on the future of work, folks? Now that we are entering the AI era.
Yeah, love that question. I also keep thinking about it a lot. I feel there are two changes which are happening pretty rapidly. And David mentioned a little bit about automating the things that he does so that he can do new things. That is so spot on because we all should think like that. And that's how we will generate new roles and responsibilities and evolve the titles as well. So one person will be able to do end to end as opposed to roles for marketing content manager and program manager and social media and this and that, where one marketing person can do all end-to-end stack. So I think there's an evolution of roles which will happen. There's a evolution of new skills that all of us will have to learn, and you guys are already ahead of the curve in this cohort, kind of learning everything together. So I think there's those are pretty much the two areas. I also feel that there's a new book which is coming out which is called Exponential Organization 2.0. I think Andreessen are putting it together. They built an Exponential Organization 1.0 sometime back, which is the new way to even build companies. So workforce build and management we won't see no longer like 200 companies minimum required at a series B or a series D stage. Like those numbers will shrink massively, and we all will be able to operate in a more lean, more cash effective way, but like we'll be able to bring more value. So there is so much that is going to change. I don't know, David, if you want to add something to the IT workforce that you're looking at in the AI era.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things that are being done. One that really strikes me is like LLMs are great, but now you're starting to see concepts of like, AI or generative AI autonomous agents. And I think that's going to really change like like what's happening all over, not just like infrastructure, not just workflows, but like everywhere. It's basically the idea of, you know, giving a task to an LLM and then have it churn on that task and, basically have it do it on its own and then give you the result. And then you decide to do what you want to do with it. I think, things like that are going to be hugely crazy and like game changing for the industry.
Yeah, I agree. A bot for everyone. That's how you get to clone yourself. Awesome. There's another question here that I think I'll take from Shisha, UX engineer at IBM. How do we draw the line between storing the conversation data and cleaning and ethics? I would say that there are three aspects to it, Shisha. One is the user aspect itself. Like, does the user experience of your product involves consent on user data, and are they comfortable sharing their data with you? So that's one aspect. When the data touches your internal of the platform, it should already be anonymized so that you maintain privacy. Use tools like DLP, or we have an API. If you're doing it on conversations, you can redact and anonymize and mask the data. So that's the second and third layer. And the fourth one is storing, where the data is stored. So there could be some regional requirements, there could be some location requirements, like all of that aspect. And then also, I think we should be minimal with our data. So more data is great, but like if it's not high quality, it's not useful. So you don't really need to store all the data. You need to store the minimal required data for your product, but do it with very high quality. So I would say those are the three aspects. Okay, anything else, Aisha, you see here?
One question, sorry, had read during the chat about WhatsApp collab. Is there anything plug-in with WhatsApp for conversation?
Yeah, I answered that. We don't do any text. Symbl is a specialized platform for audio and video conversations. That's why when we launched our language model Nebula, that you all can now get access to, it is only also built on how people speak versus how people type, and there's a big difference there. That's why our primary use cases are not social media. There are other tools out there that you can use for social media. I think someone mentioned Watson. That might be a good option for you guys. So yeah.
And one more question, which I read in questions and also in comments, about multilingual conversation and translation related.
Yeah, we support transcription in several languages. I shared the link of the documentation on the chat as well. Our language model is purely English right now, although we do have plans to make it multilingual. And all our insights are also English only. We have Spanish right now in beta, that we have a customer that has deployed it. So very soon we will start rolling out new languages. But first, we wanted to get English right. English in itself has so many nuances, from a cultural and accent and all of that. So as a small company, you better be focused on solving one problem properly before expanding the pool of the problems that you're solving. So we're doing end-to-end English understanding on how people speak, all the way from audio to insights, video to insights. So that's the problem we're solving here.
All right, there are a bunch of questions. I think another 1 hour can go on to it. I'll just end with last question. Will AI learn to communicate with human emotions? I think the emotional aspect, besides privacy, is one thing which is also budding.
Yeah. There was another question in the group that talked about tonality and stuff. So it's a slippery slope right now, I feel. There is so much that you can derive from how people, the tone of the people and the facial expressions. But unless there is true predictability and not heavy cultural biases, it can be less predictable for enterprise deployments. From an emotional perspective, I think you can still draw some emotional behaviors like empathy, apathy, politeness, agitation, frustration, all those aspects, which we are doing already. But I look forward to a time where we can completely communicate with a co-pilot like experience with an AI that you can talk to, that can understand not just the content of the conversation, but also how you feel, and can tone you down before you go into your performance review meeting. So yeah, for sure. David, I don't know if you want to add anything to it.
Nope, I'm sorry. I'm just busy answering questions in the background. No, no.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, so that's it, guys. Thank you for so many questions. I'm so excited. I feel like, and you're right, Aisha, I can talk for another 2 hours here, but I know you all have to sleep from wherever you're dialing in from. But please connect with us on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I'll drop our handles here, David, if you can do that. We have a Slack community that you can join, where David is very active. We do, and David, maybe you can do the shabila of the community. But I just want to say one thing. We just announced our language model. It's a large language model that is custom built for audio video conversations. So the accuracy and the types of insights that you will get on summarize this conversation, or find the objections, or what is the agenda, Like, it's really built to answer those questions with high predictability. So if you're building anything with conversations, request access, and you'll directly work with our CTO and our AI team. So really excited for that to come out.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say about like the community, if you're interested, obviously join us on Slack. I'll be there. Just drop me a DM, and I'll be happy to answer anything. We have office hours. We have Symbl community meetings. If you're interested in all of that, I have a really cool like TLDR dump. If you're on GitHub, github.com/symbol/community. The README contains like a TLDR of like where to find our community meetings, where to find our office hours, cool blog posts, how to get involved in the community, and like a lot more training videos about the different features, all of it. So definitely github.com/symbol/community.
All right. Thank you, David and Surbhi. I guess you have been reading the comments, obviously, and there were like wow reactions also when David was doing his demo. So thank you, David and Surbhi, for your time. And while we say good night and finish our day, good morning, and have a good day ahead for you both. And before we leave, just one screenshot I'll have to take. So pose David and Surbhi. I think we are done.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. It was so nice meeting everyone remotely. Appreciate the time you guys are spending here. Bye.
Bye. Guys, attendees, please just stay back. Some few announcements to make. I'll quickly start sharing screen before you guys leave. Not much time left. All right. So what's next in store? Guys, this was the week 2 of our session. All right. And tomorrow is going to be the second session for week 2. That is building QA systems with Ravi from Llama Index. Next is on Tuesday. That is conversational AI unleashed, exploring AI-driven chatbots with Akshat Tyagi, who's from WorkHack. And kindly attend the session. You might get access to it for Buildathon as well. And on Thursday, connecting LLMs to data via semantic search with Nil from Cohort. All right. Next, just some housekeeping rules. We are on Slack and WhatsApp. All the updates for this course and also GenAI Buildathon is going to be there. All the AMA sessions also. Watch out for Meet invites. Subscribe to YouTube channel. It's going to be today's session is also going to be live for a day or two in case you miss it or want to revisit. And track graduation milestones. I'll come to that in the next slide. And check Notion and bookmark. Update your LinkedIn bio to cohort member. Yes, this is one of the coveted membership which we are doing it free of cost. And also go through the weekly agenda. So if you want to get the certificate, please make sure to attend all the live sessions, and as a proof of attendance, post it on social media on LinkedIn and Twitter with the hashtag learn with TPF and tag product folks. Guys, if you are there's till the end of the day, put your socials live. You might get Swiggy treats. All right. So hope you had nice time. At least the comments were really engaging. So let's head to the launch. Stop sharing. All right, guys, good night. Before you say good night, just do the homework last time. Bye.